And then you start the EP off with Keep On.
Yeah.
Keep On is a up-tempo track.
Yeah, the affirmation.
Yeah. Sav, I want to ask you because I have played this in front of people, and they didn't know who you were as a group, but they asked, is this a Christian rap group? So can you kind of break down, going over, the churches in Houston, what that influence, what that whole idea was behind that verse?
Yeah, so when I first listened to the track, right, so I don't like listening to be a rapper, right? I listen to see what the music is telling me. Okay. And when I first heard the beat, which is provided by the illustrious Georgia Ann Muldrow, shout out to her.
Shout out to Georgia Ann.
Yeah, she came through and blessed us with some joints, man, and that was the first track we picked. And I remember when I heard it, and I was just vibing to it, and then I was hearing that quote from Andre 3000 from AT Aliens. I forgot the actual song where he says, "On fire like the Georgia Mass Choir, we keep on singing." And anytime I come up with a hook, I always try to tie my verse back to the hook in one way or another. And so it shouts out Georgia Mass Choir, right? And so, and then the theme of the song is keep on. So we pushing forward in spite of whatever our circumstances is, you know what I mean, at the time, right? And so I think as a group, as a collective, we were in a space where it was time to move on and pivot or kind of chart a new direction and territory. And so I think the spirit a lot of times that we see when it comes to the black church experience is it's like uplifting. It's like, keep on, keep pushing no matter what. And so I tried to channel that energy. When I came up with my verse or whatever. So I shouted out a lot of churches that's in the city, you know what I mean? And so, but no, it's not a Christian. We're not a Christian rap group. Yeah, that's not our element. Georgia Mass Choir, then the name dropping of the churches. That's just the connection between the chorus and the verse.
And Alicia, this is kind of your coming out party in terms of rapping.
Yeah.
Was there any pressure when you wrote that verse?
For sure.
Talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. It was, these guys come from a very, very well-known, very, very well-respected, legacy of hip-hop in the city, for sure, and nationally, honestly. Like, HISD is legendary. Right. And so to be in this space, honored to be invited, but also, that's when you now you got to sit down and you got to turn it on, because don't make them regret the invite. Like, show these motherfuckers why you here. Show, because also the way that, this iteration of the group kind of happened was a little controversial. So for me, it was more of, okay, it's time for me to kind of step into a space where it's like, okay, this is more than just some cute girl from Houston that can sing. Like, oh no, she's talented. And so I sat down with, my best friend and sometimes writing partner, Michelle Tebow, and we listened to the music for a few days, and she was like, yeah, you're gonna kill it. You got it. And sometimes, and a lot of times, even if she's not writing with me, she's just in the room, and because she can say, because sometimes you need somebody to, like, in a space like this, I'm like, when I bring this verse back to the studio, I don't want I don't want no notes in the room, right? Like, I don't want no notes.
Of course.
And so that means that I have to write it and give all the notes myself and rewrite until I know when I hit the studio and I record this thing, the room will have no notes.
Well, see, with Keep On, I always look at it like you guys were all able to kind of display who you were at that time. EQ, you bring out your poetry side and transition into your verse. What was the thought behind that? Did you initially want to do that going in? It was just something you was like, this would be something creative to do on this track?
Man, I don't know if Sal remembers, but when we were going over the song, and we had that spot at the end of Alicia's part.
At the end of my verse.
And we needed to fill it. My inspiration was P-Funk, George Clinton.
Okay.
And just listening to how a lot of his stuff would sound like poetry. It would be, so it's just kind of, getting in that mode of what would George Clinton do? Something like a P-Funk, kinky comedic, Okay. So it's just kind of getting into that mode. So I was really inspired by P-Funk, George Clinton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, keep on. Again, that was the first track, and it does kind of set the stage for the rest of the project. The next thing that you get into is Media Social. Now, me personally, I think Media Social is one of the tracks that I don't think enough people have heard and understand how important it is. This track probably was not done in 2025, but is more important in 2025 than anything. Talk about Media Social, the point behind it, how it can be applied to modern day society.
It personifies what Sav said, being ahead.
Yeah.
You know, being ahead.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You know, being ahead and looking at where the for one to play on words, you know, Media Social instead of social media is one thing from a creative standpoint. And then the other part is just us looking at where this is going. And I think we, you know, we did a pretty good job of prophesizing where it was going. And then for people that don't know, having the visuals is us kind of showing social media. So just the play off of looking at from our perspective of what was going on. That's one of my favorite songs.
Now, I mean, does this track, have y'all caught flack for this track, man? Has it been people that's like, man, you talking about me? Like, I mean, is it, I mean, cause it's kind of a direct thing. It's more of a, you know, if the shoe fits, wear it. Sort of situation. Have y'all had any of that?
I've had a few people that was like, are y'all, you know, like, are y'all talking about people that use social media? Like they took it personal. You know, it's commentary.
Yeah,
like, hey, it's commentary. You know, when Luke was calling y'all whatever, you know, y'all found an excuse to say he not talking about me.
Right.
So you know, use that same methodology. If it don't apply, then you know, let it fly. But it's our commentary on what's going on.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, I think I haven't heard any negative feedback. I have gotten a lot of feedback specifically from ladies about my verse.
Yeah, I mean, you do start the verse off like you're speaking from the perspective of someone.
But you know what, though? I feel like, though, because my verse is from the perspective of like I'm just a regular girl,
right?
And here I am doom scrolling, as you will, on the internet, and I'm looking at all this stuff, and this is so unrealistic. And just finally somebody saying it out loud, like, this is unrealistic.
Right.
That's not your face. These pictures are from 16 years ago when you went on these trips. Like, bro, stop trying to make me feel bad for not being able to go out of town every week when you don't go out of town every week.
Right.
And so I think most of the feedback that I've heard were from people who feel the same way, who are like, thank goodness somebody said it, because I've been saying it for years. Like, everything you see on the tiny TV screen in your hand and on the screen in your house is not real. It's fake. Influencers is the same way. Their job is to keep you watching. And so by whatever means that they have to do that, if the girl has to use 16 filters to look like a totally different person, then that's what she's gonna do. If somebody has to take a trip in 2019 and still be dropping pictures in 2025 from the trip they took in 2019 to call themselves a travel influencer, then that's what they gotta do. And that's their job. You know? So it's like, it just sucks because that a part of their job is to make other people feel inferior. And so it was just kind of really important for me to hear people say, I was laughing at that part where you said, we know that ain't your face, but I feel it. I love that. It was so, they really connected with it, and that was the important part.
Sam, you talk about a lot of the fake haters, and then like I was like, man, I kind of applaud it, because it's like people need those fake haters just to.
Yeah, man. You know, like, it's funny, Jay-Z had the record Imaginary Players back in '96, and then now hater became this big thing. And so I'm thinking, man, that's like, everybody thinks somebody's hating on them. So I'm like, who is it that's really hating on you in real life? It must be imaginary haters. That's why my line says, you know, are these imaginary haters just figments of your imagination? And so, it's crazy. Like, during the time when we made the song, I was just basically just kind of just documenting my observation of what was going on with social media. And I was like, it kind of, you know, as time evolves and things like that, you see, like, man, I kind of even missed the early days of social media when it was just people just being themselves on social media. And now it feels like everybody's trying to be a content creator per se. So everybody's trying to make it a job or a hustle, as opposed to just kind of showing little little quirky things or idiosyncrasies about your life.
Right.
You know, so that makes it different. But I mean, I love what EQ said on the end of his verse, and they'll be going Insta Live when your casket drops to the death. I was like, man, dog, that just kind of that was so tough to me. You know what I mean? And then I was like, and that's reality. And then, but man, when Alicia came through and dropped her verse, I was like, that's it. We got this shit. You know, I was like,
that was one of my favorite verses, man.
Exactly. It was like, it was her and her element, and I just got, I literally got goosebumps when she dropped her verse. I was like, she just kind of just summed it all up like so perfectly, you know what I mean? But from a different perspective that me and E approached it from, and that's the beauty of having 3 different, like, you know, truly like creative minds in one group. You know what I mean?
The verse, the stream of consciousness of her verse. And being able to, the melody of singing and integrating a rhyme scheme, but the idea of her, when people listen to the song, to get the perspective of her thoughts. And then it's like, oh, she's driving. You know, all of this is going through my head now. Oh, let me get back to the, you know, hey, I'm going somewhere on 59. And I'm trying to see Africa before I close my eyes. Like, just the stream of consciousness in the middle of the song was really dope.